The cell was dark, cold, and filled with silence. The alien girl sat on the floor with her hands tied in heavy chains. Her breath came fast and shaky. She had been told many stories about humans. Every story ended the same way, with screams, pain, and death. She believed this was her fate too. When the heavy door creaked open, her heart almost stopped. A tall human stepped inside. His steps were slow but strong. His eyes looked at her, and she froze. She had always imagined humans as monsters, cruel and merciless. Now one stood right before her. Her first thought was torture. She waited for him to pull out a weapon, a tool of pain, or maybe his bare hands. Her body shook as the chains rattled against the floor. She tried to hide her fear, but her eyes betrayed her. The human stopped a few steps away. He did not smile. He did not threaten. He just looked at her with a strange calm. The girl lowered her head. She thought, maybe he wants me to beg. Her people had told her humans enjoyed it when prisoners cried for mercy. She bit her lip. She would not give him that pleasure, even if it meant more pain. Still, her heart raced so fast it felt like it would break out of her chest. Then something happened that broke her thoughts. The human crouched down. His hand reached toward her. She gasped and shut her eyes, waiting for the strike. But no strike came. His hand did not hurt her. Instead, his fingers touched the chains, not her skin. He studied the locks as if they were more important than the prisoner herself. The alien girl opened her eyes slowly. Confusion swept through her. Why was he not hurting her? Why was he looking at her chains instead of her weakness? He said nothing, but his silence was louder than any threat. Her mind screamed, this is a trick. Maybe he was only waiting for the right moment. Maybe he wanted to see her fear before he started. That was how humans worked, wasn't it? Yet, a small part of her heart whispered something else, something dangerous, hope. The human finally spoke. His voice was low and steady, not cruel, not sharp. You are safe here, he said. The words shocked her more than a blade could have. Safe? How could a human say that? She shook her head, refusing to believe it. Her chains rattled again as she tried to pull away from him. But the human did not grab her. He did not force her closer. He simply stood, his tall frame blocking the light from the doorway. He turned and left without another word. The door closed behind him with a loud echo. The alien girl sat frozen in the dark. Her mind raced with questions. Fear still burned in her chest, but another feeling fought against it. She had expected pain, torture, and endless screams. Instead, she was left with confusion. Her hands trembled as she whispered to herself, "Why did he not hurt me?" The cell gave no answer. Only her chains spoke back with a dull clink, and for the first time since her capture, she wondered if the stories she had been told about humans were all lies. The night passed slowly inside the cold cell. The alien girl could not sleep. Her mind kept replaying the strange moment. The human had looked at her, studied her chains, and then walked away. He had not struck her, not shouted, not hurt her. That silence felt heavier than any whip. By morning, the door opened again, her breath caught in her throat. It was him, the same human. His tall frame filled the doorway. He carried nothing in his hands, no weapon, no tools, only a calm presence that made her heart race. The girl pressed herself back against the wall. Her chains rattled, her eyes narrowed with fear. She whispered inside her head, "This is the moment. He will hurt me now." But instead, he moved slowly, crouching down again just a few steps away. His voice came soft, almost gentle. "Do not be afraid," he said. The words felt impossible. She wanted to believe them, yet every story told by her people screamed otherwise. His hand lifted, moving closer. She gasped and flinched, her body trembling as she shut her eyes tight, waiting for pain. Her people had said humans enjoyed watching aliens suffer. She braced herself, but what she felt was not pain. His hand did not strike. His touch was soft, only brushing lightly against her arm as if testing if she would break. The girl's eyes snapped open, her breath shook. She stared at his hand, waiting for claws to dig into her skin, but it was only warmth, steady and calm. She whispered, barely able to speak. "Why?" The human said nothing. His eyes met hers, steady and unreadable. He did not smile, did not mock. His silence was stranger than cruelty. He let his hand rest just long enough for her to feel the warmth, then slowly pulled it away. Confusion flooded her chest. She felt anger at herself. Why did I not pull away? Why did I freeze? She wanted to scream, to spit at him, but no sound came. Instead, her chains rattled again, filling the silence with their dull cry. The human stood and looked down at her. For a moment, she thought she saw something in his face. Something she did not understand, pity or sorrow. His lips moved. "You are not my enemy," he said quietly. The words struck her harder than a fist could. She stared at him, unable to breathe. Her thoughts clashed. Not his enemy? But I was captured, chained, given to him. He should see me as prey, as an object. Why does he not? She felt her chest rise and fall too quickly. She hated this feeling. This was not torture, not pain. This was something more dangerous. Something that cracked the walls around her heart. He stepped back, leaving space between them. She could have rushed forward, tried to bite or strike, but her body stayed frozen, not out of fear, but out of shock. His behavior did not fit the monster she had been warned about. Before leaving, he placed a small container on the ground near her. The smell drifted to her nose, food. Her stomach tightened with hunger. Her pride told her to ignore it. Do not take his gift. It is a trick. But her body ached, weak and empty. The human left without forcing her to eat, without touching her again. The door closed, leaving her in silence once more. She stared at the food, her heart and mind locked in battle. If she ate, she accepted his kindness. If she refused, she kept her pride but starved. Her chains rattled as she whispered to herself, "Why does he not act like a human should?" The question burned in her mind, stronger than hunger, and in the shadows of the cell, she realized something terrifying. Her fear was beginning to change. The cell grew darker as night fell again. The alien girl sat curled in the corner, her chains heavy against her arms and legs. She had not touched the food, though her stomach cried. Every time she looked at it, her pride and fear battled inside her. Then, footsteps came, slow and steady. Her body stiffened, the door opened with its deep creak, and the human entered once more. This time he carried no light. The dim glow from the hallway framed his shape, but left his face in shadow. The girl's heart raced. She whispered in her mind, "Why does he keep coming back? Why does he not end this?" Her people had always said humans took joy in breaking spirits quickly, yet this human was patient, almost too patient. He sat on the floor across from her, far enough not to touch, close enough that she could hear his breathing. The silence stretched between them, heavy and strange. She wanted to scream at him to leave, to curse him, but her throat felt dry. Finally his voice broke the quiet. "Do you fear me?" His words were low, not mocking, not sharp. They echoed in the dark cell like a whisper that reached her bones. She did not answer. Her pride told her to stay silent. Her fear told her to obey. Her lips trembled. She hated that he made her unsure. He spoke again, slower this time. "I will not harm you." The alien girl's head snapped up. Her eyes glared at him through the shadows. "Liar," she whispered. Her voice shook but carried anger. "Humans always harm. It is what you are." The human did not argue. He let her words hang in the air. His breathing stayed calm. His silence felt like a storm she could not control. After a long pause, he said, "If I wanted to hurt you, I would have done it already." Her chest tightened. She could not answer, because his words were true. 2 times he had entered, and 2 times he had left her untouched. The chains rattled as she curled to. Eyed her against the wall. She hated this confusion more than pain. The human leaned back against the wall. His voice softened again. "You are not my prisoner. They chained you, not me." The girl stared, shock burning through her. Not his prisoner? Then what am I? She did not know what to believe. Her lips parted, and for the first time she asked the question that weighed on her chest. Then why am I here? The human's eyes lifted to meet hers, his face hidden by shadow, his voice steady. "Because I chose not to let them destroy you." Her heart skipped. The words did not make sense. Humans never saved aliens. Humans took, broke, and killed. That was the truth. That was what her people told her. She shook her head quickly. "You play with me. You want me weak before you break me." Her voice cracked, filled with both defiance and fear. But the human only lowered his gaze. His silence again felt heavier than chains. In the quiet she heard his whisper, so faint she almost thought she imagined it. "I am tired of pain." The girl blinked. Her breath caught in her throat. Those words were not meant for her. They sounded like they belonged to his own scars. She wanted to ask more, but the fear of knowing the truth held her tongue. For a long while, neither spoke. The dark wrapped around them. Only the sound of their breathing and the faint rattle of chains filled the air. When he finally stood to leave, she whispered softly, almost without meaning to, Why do you not hurt me?" The human paused at the door, his shadow framed by the faint light outside. He did not turn. He only whispered back, "Because you have already suffered enough." The door closed with its heavy echo. The girl's heart pounded. Her chains felt different now, not heavier, but looser in her mind. For the first time, she feared not the human, but the truth she had been told her whole life. The alien girl sat in silence after the human left. Her heart still beat fast from his last words. Because you have already suffered enough. The chains around her wrists felt heavy, but her mind felt even heavier. Hunger clawed at her stomach. She had ignored the food he left before, telling herself it was a trick. But now, the smell haunted her. Her people had always warned her that humans used kindness as bait before cruelty. She pressed her lips together, trying to stay strong. Hours passed. The door creaked open again, and the same human entered. He carried something in his hands. A small tray, steam rising from it. The scent filled the cell, stronger than before. Her stomach twisted painfully. She pulled herself back against the wall, her chains rattling. "Keep it," she whispered sharply, trying to sound fierce, but her voice was weak, thin. The human only looked at her for a moment, then knelt and set the tray gently on the ground. He did not force her closer. He did not hold the food out. He simply left it there. The smell filled the air, warm and rich. He spoke calmly. "Eat or do not eat. The choice is yours." The alien girl's eyes widened. A choice? Prisoners never had choices. Captors never gave them. It had to be a lie. Yet he stepped back, resting against the wall, his arms crossed. He was waiting, but not pressing. Her stomach growled loudly. Her cheeks burned with shame. She wanted to ignore the food, to show she was strong, but her body betrayed her. Her hands shook as she stared at the tray. Finally, she crawled forward slowly. The chains scraped the floor, her eyes never leaving his face, waiting for him to strike, waiting for him to laugh at her weakness. But he only watched quietly, his gaze steady, almost patient. She reached the tray. Her fingers hovered over it, trembling. She picked up a piece of bread and held it close. She sniffed at foe. Erst suspicious. The human said nothing. His silence gave her no answer. Her hunger roared louder than her fear. She bit into it. The taste filled her mouth, soft and warm. Her body trembled as tears welled in her eyes. She hated herself for eating, hated the way relief rushed through her. She expected him to smirk, to say something cruel, but he did not. He only nodded once as if satisfied, not with her weakness, but with her survival. "Why?" she whispered again. Her voice cracked as crumbs clung to her lips. "Why feed me? Why not let me starve?" The human's reply was quiet, steady. "Because you are alive, and you deserve to stay alive." Her hands froze. The bread slipped from her grasp for a moment. She could not understand him. Her people had always taught her that humans saw alien lives as worthless, yet his words sounded honest. She stared at him, trying to read the trick in his face, but there was no cruelty, no hunger in his eyes, only something she did not know how to name. The girl finished the bread slowly. Every bite felt like betrayal to her pride, but her body needed it. When the food was gone, she sat back against the wall, her chains clinking softly. The human picked up the empty tray. He turned to leave, but at the door he paused. His voice reached her again. "Tomorrow, I will bring more." Her heart raced. She wanted to shout at him not to come back, to call him a liar, but no words came. Only silence, only the sound of the door closing, alone again. She touched her lips with her trembling hand, the taste of food still there. Her heart whispered a dangerous thought. Maybe he truly did not wish to harm her. She shook her head hard, whispering to herself, "No, he is a human. Humans cannot be trusted." But as she curled into the corner, the warmth of the bread lingered, and for the first time since her capture, her fear was joined by something else, doubt. The alien girl lay awake in the cold cell, her chains heavy against her skin, but it was not the iron that kept her from rest. It was the memory of bread on her tongue, the sound of his voice saying she deserved to live. Her mind battled itself. One part screamed, "This is a trap. He wants you weak before he strikes." Another part whispered, "But he has not hurt you. He has fed you. He has spoken gently." When the door creaked open again, her body tensed. The human stepped in with slow, calm movements. His eyes scanned her, not with hunger, not with cruelty, but with something she did not understand. He placed another tray down, this one with more food, steam curling in the cold air. Her pride boiled. She wanted to spit on it. She wanted to show him she was no broken creature. Her people would never forgive her if she trusted a human. But her stomach twisted. Her body betrayed her strength. The human watched silently. He did not move closer. He did not force her hand. He only waited. Finally, she crawled forward, her chains dragging across the floor. She grabbed the food with shaking hands, biting hard, as if proving she ate only because she chose to. Her eyes flicked up at him, expecting to see a smirk of victory, but he only looked calm, quiet. That silence was worse than cruelty. It broke her in ways she could not explain. She slammed the tray aside after a few bites, the rest of the food scattering on the ground. "Why?" she shouted, her voice cracked, echoing off the stone walls. "Why do this? Do you enjoy watching me break?" The human's brow tightened, his voice low. "I do not wish to break you." Her heart thudded, anger surged hotter. "Liar," she screamed. "You are human. Humans destroy, humans torture. That is what you are." He did not move. He did not strike back. He let her rage fill the cell. Then, quietly, he answered, "I know what humans have done. I kill. Now what monsters we can be, but I am not here to be that." The words struck her harder than a whip could. She wanted to cover her ears, but the chains bound her hands. She trembled, hating him more for the kindness in his voice than she would have hated pain. Her chest rose and fell too quickly. Her pride and fear twisted together until tears stung her eyes. She hated those tears, hated that her body showed weakness before him. She turned her face away, hiding them in the shadows. The human stood slowly, his boots scraping the stone floor. For a moment she thought he would leave, but instead he took off his coat, worn and rough. He walked closer and draped it gently over her shoulders. She gasped, jerking back, her chains rattled, her eyes wide. "Do not touch me," she cried. Her voice broke, half command, half plea, but the coat stayed on her, heavy but warm. The human stepped back, giving her space. His voice came steady. "I will not harm you. You may hate me, you may fear me, but I will not harm you." Her tears fell freely now, hot against her cheeks. She hated them, hated him, hated the way her fear was changing into something she did not know how to fight. He turned to leave, his last words soft but cutting deep. "You are not alone anymore." The door closed, leaving her in darkness again, the coat still on her shoulders, warm against her cold skin. Her pride screamed at her to throw it off, but her body pulled it tighter. Her heart whispered something dangerous. Maybe he truly meant it. And in that moment, the alien girl realized she was at her breaking point, not because of torture, but because of kindness she could not understand. The alien girl sat in silence long after the human left, his coat still draped over her shoulders. The warmth clung to her, mocking her pride. She wanted to throw it away, to spit on the ground, to prove she was not weak. But her hands gripped it tighter. Her thoughts burned. Why does he do this? What game is he playing? She had heard of humans who tricked their captives, who softened them before tearing them apart. Surely this was the same. Yet deep inside, a small voice whispered that his eyes carried no cruelty, only pain. The door creaked open again. Her heart jumped. The same human stepped inside, his gaze calm but heavy. He sat down on the floor across from her, leaving distance between them. For a moment, he said nothing. His silence pressed against her chest. Finally, he spoke, his voice low. "Do you want to know why I keep you alive?" Her breath caught. Her chains rattled as she shifted nervously. Part of her wanted to scream no, to block his words. But another part, the part that feared silence more, whispered yes. She glared at him and forced her voice out. "Tell me then, tell me your reason." The human leaned forward slightly, his face shadowed, his tone steady. "Because I know what it is to be broken. I know what it is to suffer until there is nothing left, and I swore I would never let another live through that if I could stop it." His words hung in the air like sharp blades. The alien girl blinked in shock. She expected excuses, lies, tricks. Instead, his voice carried something she had never expected. Truth. She narrowed her eyes. "You speak like you have suffered, but you are human. Humans are the ones who give suffering, not receive it." His jaw tightened. His hands clenched once before he loosened them. He looked down, his voice quieter now. "Humans hurt each other too, more than you know. I was a soldier once. I saw villages burned. I saw children left to starve. I saw cruelty so deep it hollowed me out." Her eyes widened. The chains around her wrist clinked as she leaned forward without meaning to. "Then why?" she whispered. "Why spare me when your kind destroys everything?" He lifted his gaze, meeting her eyes, his expression carved with shadows of old wounds. "Because I am tired of being like them. Because I will not let myself be the monster they have become." The alien girl's chest tightened, her heart pounded, the words pierced her in ways she did not understand. If he was lying, it was the most perfect lie she had ever heard. But if he spoke the truth, then everything she believed about humans might be wrong. Silence wrapped around them. Only the sound of their breathing filled the space. She wanted to ask more, but fear gripped her tongue. She turned away, hiding her face, whispering softly, "You confuse me." The human stood slowly, his boots scraping on the stone floor. He walked to the door but paused, his voice steady but filled with quiet weight. "You are not my enemy. Not here. Not to me." The door closed behind him, leaving her alone once more. She sat trembling, her mind a storm. Not his enemy? Then what am I? Her hands clutched the coat around her tighter. For the first time since her capture, she did not fear the chains as much as she feared her own heart. For it was beginning to whisper the most dangerous thought of all. Trust. The alien girl sat against the wall, the human's coat still around her shoulders. The warmth clung to her, even though her pride told her to throw it away. Her chains rattled softly every time she shifted, but she no longer hated the sound as much as before. Now her heart battled itself more than the iron ever could. Her mind replayed his words again and again. "You are not my enemy." It was impossible. Humans never said such things. Humans were the enemy. Yet when she looked back, she remembered his steady eyes. Eyes that did not shine with cruelty, but with something else. Something she could not name. The door creaked open. She froze, her heart pounding. It was him again. His tall shape filled the doorway. He carried nothing this time. No tray, no weapon, only his calm presence. He stepped inside and sat on the floor near her. Not too close, not too far. For a long moment, neither spoke. The silence pressed down on them both. Finally, he broke it, his voice quiet. "Are you still afraid of me?" Her lips parted. Her first instinct was to say yes, to spit the word like a blade, but the truth caught in her throat. She whispered instead, "I do not know." Her answer shocked even her. Her chains rattled as she pulled her knees closer, hiding her face. She hated showing such weakness. But the human did not mock her, did not smile. He only nodded slowly. He shifted closer, slowly enough for her to notice every movement. When his hand lifted, she tensed, ready for pain, but his fingers did not strike. They reached out carefully and pulled the coat tighter around her shoulders, securing it so it would not slip away. The girl gasped softly. Her heart thudded in her chest. Her body shivered, but not from fear. Something else ran through her, a strange warmth she could not understand. Her eyes burned as she whispered, "Why do you do this?" The human's reply came steady, "'Cause no one should suffer alone." Her throat tightened. Tears stung her eyes again. She turned her face away quickly, but her chains betrayed her with their noise. He must have heard her trembling breath. Slowly, carefully, he extended his hand again. This time, he did not touch her. He left it open in the air between them, waiting, offering, not forcing. The girl stared at the hand. Her mind screamed, "Do not touch. It is a trick. Humans cannot be trusted." But her heart whispered louder, "He has not hurt you. He has only shown care." Her chains rattled as her hand lifted slowly. She hesitated, her body trembling. Then, with a gasp, she let her fingertips brush against his palm. A shiver ran through her entire body. It was not pain. It was not fear. It was something far more dangerous. Her breath caught as his hand closed gently around hers. Not tight, not trapping, just steady and warm. Her chest heaved. Her voice cracked in a whisper. "I do not understand you." The human's eyes softened, his voice calm. "You do not need to. Just know I mean you no harm." Her tears fell freely now, not from fear, but from the weight inside her chest breaking open. For the first time since her capture, her chains felt lighter. When he finally let go of her hand, she pulled back quickly, hugging her knees again, ashamed of the feeling inside her. But the warmth of his touch stayed, burning against her skin. As he stood to leave, she whispered softly, almost too quiet for him to hear, "Why do I not fear you the same anymore?" He paused at the door, his voice steady but filled with meaning. "Because fear is not the only thing you are meant to feel." The door closed, leaving her trembling in the dark. Her chains still bound her, but her heart whispered something new. Trust. The alien girl sat curled in the corner of her cell, her chains wrapped around her wrists. Her heart still carried the memory of the human's warm touch. She had not expected it. She had not wanted it, but it lingered, leaving her shaken. For the first time since her capture, she felt something other than terror, and that frightened her even more. The door creaked open suddenly. Her head snapped up, expecting him. But the figure that entered was not the same human. It was another. his steps heavier, his eyes cold, his smirk sharp like a blade. Her body stiffened. Fear returned in an instant. Her chains rattled as she pulled back against the wall. The stranger laughed. "So this is the alien he keeps alive." His voice dripped with mockery. "I wondered why he wasted his time." She trembled, her voice barely a whisper. "Where is the other one?" The soldier sneered. "Out on patrol. He leaves you here, chained like a pet." His eyes scanned her with cruel delight. "But maybe I should show him what happens when you let aliens live too long." Her heart pounded. Terror crushed her chest. She braced for pain, for the cruelty she had always expected. The man stepped closer, his boots loud on the stone floor. His hand reached down to grab her chain, yanking it hard. She gasped, stumbling forward. Her knees scraped against the cold floor. The soldier chuckled. Pathetic. He raised his hand, ready to strike. The door slammed open. Both turned. The first human stood in the doorway, his eyes sharp, his jaw tight. In that moment, the alien girl saw something she had not seen before. Anger. "Enough," he growled. His voice thundered through the room. The soldier froze for a second, then laughed. "You defend her? She's nothing but a worthless alien. Why keep her alive?" The human stepped forward, his fists clenched, his voice low but dangerous. "Because she deserves to live, and if you touch her again, you will answer to me." The soldier scoffed. "You've gone soft." His eyes flicked back to the alien girl. "Maybe I should report you. They'll strip you of your command, maybe worse." The alien girl watched with wide, terrified eyes. Her body shook, but for the first time, her fear was not for herself. It was for him. The human's voice cut through the tension, steady and sharp. "Leave now." For a long, tense moment, the other soldier stared at him. The air was heavy. Then, with a bitter laugh, he released the chain and stepped back. "Fine, protect your little pet. But remember this, they will find out, and when they do, you'll lose everything." He stormed out, the door slamming behind him. Silence returned, heavy and suffocating. The alien girl's body trembled. Her wrists ached from where the chain had been yanked. She stared at the human, her breath uneven. He knelt down beside her, his hands gentle as he checked the bruises forming on her skin. His eyes softened. "Did he hurt you?" Her lips trembled. Her voice broke. You stopped him." He nodded. "I will always stop them." Her heart raced. Her chest ached. She wanted to deny it, but the truth was clear. He had protected her, not for gain, not for cruelty, but because he chose to, she whispered, her voice weak but filled with wonder. "Why risk yourself? For me?" His reply came soft but steady. "Because your life matters, even if no one else believes it." Tears blurred her vision. Her chains rattled as she curled forward, not in fear, but in something she had never felt before. Relief. For the first time since her capture, she realized the enemy was not the human before her, but the ones outside who wanted her broken. And in the silence that followed, her heart whispered a dangerous truth. She no longer wanted him to leave. The cell was quiet again, but the silence was different now. The alien girl sat with her knees pulled to her chest, her wrists sore from the soldier's rough grip. The human's coat still rested on her shoulders, its warmth reminding her of his promise. Her heart would not calm. The image of him standing in the doorway, defying his own kind for her, played again and again in her mind. No one had ever defended her, not even among her own people. The door opened slowly. She looked up, fear flashing for a moment. But it was him, the one who had shielded her, his expression softer now, though the fire of anger still lingered in his eyes. He stepped inside and closed the door gently behind him. For a long moment, he said nothing. He only sat across from her, his gaze steady. His presence filled the room with a strange calm. Finally, he spoke. "I cannot promise they will stay away, but as long as I am here, no one will hurt you." Her chest tightened. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Why? Why risk everything for me?" His eyes did not look away. "Because you deserve the right to choose your own life." The word choose echoed inside her like a thunderstrike. All her life she had been chained, ordered, forced, from her people to her captors. Every decision had been made for her, but here was a human, her supposed enemy, speaking of choice. Her chains rattled as she shifted, her voice cracked. "And if I choose to hate you? If I choose never to trust you?" The human nodded slowly. "Then that is your right. I will not take it from you." Her heart pounded. The answer cut deeper than any cruelty could. He was not demanding her trust, he was offering it. He was giving her power she had never known. Slowly, carefully, he lifted his hand, leaving it open in the space between them. Not forcing, not demanding, simply waiting. The alien girl stared at his hand, her breath shook. "Kay!" Her mind screamed, "Do not touch him, it will bind you." But her heart whispered, "This is not a chain. This is yours to take or to refuse." Her fingers trembled. She could feel the heat of his hand even before touching it. For a long time she hesitated, her entire body stiff with fear. Then, with a deep breath, she let her hand slide forward, her fingertips brushing against his. A shiver ran through her. Her chest tightened, not with terror, but with something unfamiliar. His hand closed gently around hers, warm, steady, never forcing, only holding. Her voice broke in a whisper. "Why does it feel different when I touch you?" He answered softly, "Because this time it is your choice." Her eyes burned with tears. Her chains clinked as she squeezed his hand tighter, not out of fear but out of need. For the first time she felt control over her own life, even if it was only for a moment. When he finally let go, she pulled back slowly. Her heart raced, her body trembled, but she no longer felt like a prisoner in that moment. The human stood, his voice steady. "Whatever happens, remember this. You are not powerless, not anymore." The door closed softly behind him. The alien girl sat in silence, her hands still tingling from his touch. Her chains remained on her wrists, heavy as ever. Yet inside her chest, something had broken free. And for the first time, she whispered to herself with trembling lips, "I chose." The night was long and heavy. The alien girl sat in the corner of her cell, the shadows wrapping around her like a second set of chains. Her body was still bound, but her heart carried something new, the memory of choice. She touched her hand where his warmth had lingered. Her lips whispered the word again, "I chose." It felt strange, fragile, like fire hidden in the dark. Her people had told her humans gave nothing but pain, yet this one human had given her something more dangerous than pain, hope. The door opened quietly. She looked up quickly, her heart jumping. The human entered, carrying no tray, no weapons. His eyes were serious, as if the night itself had called him here. He sat down across from her, the silence thick between them. For a long time, neither spoke. Their breaths filled the air. She wanted to look away, but her eyes stayed locked on his, waiting, fearing, needing. Finally his voice came low and steady. "You think all humans are monsters?" Her chest tightened. She wanted to argue, to spit at him, but the words caught. Instead she whispered, "Yes, but you confuse me." He nodded slowly, his gaze heavy. "And you think I confuse myself?" Her brows furrowed. "What do you mean?" He leaned forward, his elbows resting on his knees, his eyes shadowed but filled with truth. "I have done things I cannot forgive myself for. I have hurt, I have destroyed, I have killed in the name of orders I never believed in, that blood is mine to carry." Her breath shook. She stared at him. She had expected him to speak of honor, of pride, but instead he spoke of guilt, of weight. His words made him sound less like a monster and more like a broken soul. He looked at her again. "That is why I cannot harm you, because I know what it feels like to lose everything, and I refuse to be the reason someone else feels that again." Her throat tightened, tears burned her eyes. And she hated the way his pain struck her, hated that her chest ached for him. He was human, he was supposed to be the enemy, yet he looked more like a wounded shadow than a monster. Her chains rattled as she leaned closer, her voice cracked. "Then why? Why do humans still keep me here?" His jaw clenched. His answer came sharp but honest. "Because they fear what they do not understand, and fear breeds cruelty." She shivered. Her people had always said humans were driven by hate, but now she wondered if it was fear instead. And if so, what did that make her? The silence grew heavy again. Her lips trembled, and before she could stop herself, she whispered, "Am I safe with you?" The human's eyes softened. His hand reached out again, but he did not touch. He only offered. His voice came quiet. "Yes, you are safe with me." Her heart thundered. Her pride screamed to pull away, but her soul leaned forward, trembling. Her hands slid into his. Her chains rattled softly as her fingers curled around his. A shiver ran through her entire body. This was not forced, not demanded. It was her choice, she whispered, almost too soft to hear. "I should fear you, but I don't." His grip was gentle, steady. His voice carried a weight of truth. "Then that is your truth, not theirs." The door stayed closed that night. The shadows still pressed around her, but they no longer felt like enemies. For in the middle of chains and darkness, she had found something stronger. Truth. And the truth terrified her more than any weapon ever could. The alien girl sat in the dark cell, her chains heavy, but her heart no longer felt the same. Something had changed inside her, something no chains could bind. For the first time since her capture, she did not see the human as a monster. She saw him as something else, something she could not name. The door opened again, her breath caught. The human stepped in, carrying no food, no weapons. His eyes steady, his movements calm. He knelt in front of her and looked at the chains that bound her wrists. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then his voice came low. "Do you want to be free?" Her eyes widened. Her chest tightened. She whispered, "Free? You mean, you will release me?" He nodded slowly. "Yes, but freedom is not only from chains, it is also from fear. It is your choice." Her heart raced, her mind screamed with confusion. It is a trick. He cannot mean it. Yet his eyes carried no lie, only the same heavy truth that had shaken her since the first day. Her hands trembled, the chains rattled as she whispered, "If I am free, will you let me go?" His lips pressed into a line, his voice steady. "If you wish to leave, I will not stop you. You are not mine to keep." The words struck her chest like lightning. For so long she believed she was nothing but property. Yet here he was, offering her something no one had ever given her, choice. Her vision blurred with tears. She wanted to scream, to run, to test him. But instead, her heart whispered a different truth. "I do not want to leave him." Slowly, he unlocked the chains. The iron fell to the floor with a heavy sound. Her wrists were raw, her skin red. She rubbed them with trembling hands. The air around her felt strange without the weight of the chains. For a moment, she could not breathe. The human stepped back, giving her space. "You are free now," he said. She stared at her wrists, then at him. Her body shook. She could run, she could escape, she could hate him as her people told her to. But her feet refused to move, her heart refused to leave, her lips parted, her voice a whisper. Why? Why give me freedom?" His eyes softened. "Because freedom is the only gift worth giving." Her tears fell. She hated them, but they came anyway. She took one step forward, then another. Her chains gone, her body light. And yet, instead of running to the door, she walked toward him. The human stood still, watching, waiting, not forcing, not reaching, only letting her decide. Her trembling hand lifted, her fingers brushed against his chest, her voice cracked. "I expected pain. I expected torture. But you gave me something else." His voice came steady. "What did I give you?" She looked up, her eyes burning. "You gave me myself." Her body shook as she pressed her forehead against his chest. Her chains gone, her fear broken. She whispered through her tears, "I am not your prisoner. I am your choice." He placed his hand gently on her back, steady and warm. "And you are mine," he whispered, not as a master, not as a captor, but as something deeper. The night around them was still dark. The world outside was still cruel, but inside that cell, freedom bloomed. Not just from chains, but from fear. And for the first time in her life, the alien girl discovered a truth greater than pain, greater than hate, a truth that made her heart tremble with something close to joy. She had expected torture, but instead, she found the pleasure of freedom.